Hello and welcome to today's weather video for the rest of we're still gonna talk about the rest of November here and a little bit in December. We'll take a look at that, uh, and we'll go over the holiday weekend as we get closer to it. More again, after probably when we're done on Wednesday night, we'll do a holiday weekend video because we have a holiday weekend coming up. Thanksgiving is Thursday. Fortunately, the weather looks okay for that day, but we are going to have to deal with some rain. And unfortunately, this weekend, once again, a lot of clouds again. The usual stuff again during the day. Plenty of clouds. You can see the clouds trying to break up a little bit. And then at night, the clouds dissipate. The sunset was kind of hazy looking, too. It's the sunset. Kind of red. And still look like in the evening. Yeah, the air quality, I don't know, the air quality's still a little questionable out there. Still seems like it's a little hazy out there. Some of those nighttime pictures, you could see a lot of sky glow. Let's just take a look at AQI before I get started with everything else. We'll go to purple air for that. Let's see what we got going on here. Still questionable air quality here. Yeah, the air quality is not great. It's not for wildfire smoke. But it just seems like there's some haze around in the air today. And I noticed that when the sun was setting. Let's go take a look at the MODIS. I don't know if this is going to tell us anything or not. This is what this... Yeah, you can actually see the haze on the satellite here a little bit. See that haze over us? You see all the clouds again, so... I don't see any haze over here. But that's kind of interesting. We'll have to take a look at some of that as we get into it a little more later. As far as, well, we can get that over with now, I guess. I was going to look at Windy later, but Windy has a PM 2.5 feature, so we can look at that, see what's going on here. Yeah, there are some particles. So, all right, well, we will go into that a little bit later. Right now, we do have some, still some issues with air quality going on, believe it or not. So let's take a look at what we got going on outside right now. Looks like there's a dense fog advisory for a good part of the Midwest. Winter weather in the north. A severe thunderstorm watch, believe it or not, in West Texas. But for us, no real advisories except a small craft advisory from now until 2 p.m. Monday, I'm guessing, because the winds were supposed to pick up, but the winds have not really picked up so far. And you can see it's 40 at Islip, so we are seeing a little bit of radiational cooling. The alley's still 48. The alley kind of matches Kings Point, actually, or LaGuardia. And, yeah, they are getting some radiational cooling. 33 at Ocean County Airport. And they actually got down to 24 this morning. Wow. That's pretty incredible. What about West Hampton? 19? Yeah, last night was pretty chilly. We had some really strong radiational cooling last night, I guess. That's really a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. So let's take a look and see what we got going on out there right at the lows tonight. 19 at West Hampton. My alley only got down to like 37, which is like where LaGuardia is. 28 at Islip, 25 at Shirley, 32 at JFK. So similar to what my alley got. 37 in Central Park. Wow, 19 at West Hampton. That's incredible. And then 24 at Miller Air Park. Yeah, because, again, the skies cleared out last night after the clouds. It was the same kind of deal again. Looking at highs today, highs were around upper 40s to around 50s. Still a little bit below normal, I guess. A little bit warmer if you were in Jersey, though. 54. So you hit 54 for a high after going at 24 in the morning. That's pretty desert-like. So let's take a look and see what the day was like at Islip as far as the day goes, and see we had plenty of clouds. The dew points aren't that low, which is kind of surprising how we were able to get that radiational cooling last night. The dew points weren't that low, but somehow we were able to do it. The winds did drop off, but you could see yesterday, last night, we did have clouds clear out in the evening and light winds, and that's why we had the radiational cooling. Wasn't quite expecting such a good performance last night with it, but yeah. Unfortunately, I don't get to enjoy any of that where I'm at. let's take a look at. We had some rain on Saturday morning, so we'll take a look and see how much rain fell during that period. I'll just the next part. It was around a quarter of an inch of rain. Yeah, around that much that we had. So quarter of an inch, a little more off to the south, west in Jersey, but yeah, that's what we got, and we'll be dealing with more rain chances as we head into this week. You can see there were some showers off to the north. Let's go take a look at our climatological data for Islip, and a high of 50 degrees and a low of 29. The alley got up to like 55, by the way. So we were just 1 degree below normal for the high. That's close to normal, but the low of 29 was 7 degrees below normal, putting us 3 degrees below normal for the day. And month to date, we're still below normal on precipitation. Normally, we have 1.45 inches. Normally, we're supposed to see 2.5 inches around, so still about an inch below normal. And although we have rain chances, it's not really going to be dramatically large amounts of rain. So looking at our weather map here, you'll see here, it looks like there's a cold front off to the west. So I'm wondering if maybe that will improve the air quality as we head into tomorrow. Perhaps actually has us in a warm sector. I'm wondering if that will improve the air quality, and hopefully we'll have less haze around. We'll have to see what's going to happen with that. But let's go and look at our models as we go and look at the rest of this month. We'll go to the North American view, and we'll go over the European. And we will be using the 18Z run for the European, as well as 18Z on both European and the GFS at this point. So let's go and look at the jet stream first. So here's the jet stream. You can see a little bit of a trough here. There's a wave that's going to come through Tuesday. It's going to bring some rain chances. And then we have a trough coming for Thanksgiving into the holiday weekend, and that's going to bring in some colder air, which I may need to use. Yeah, that's not going to go far enough. I want to go a little further, so we're going to have to use the 12Z run, I guess. You see that trough there, and then we see a really strange setup as we head into December. Really strange looking jet stream there. Look at that. That's really strange looking, and that's going to mean some strange weather right there. So let's go to the upper air. So a little trough, and we get a ridge, and that's going to help us rebound on Wednesday quite a bit. But then here comes the trough for Friday, and that's going to bring in the colder air. Again, we see a moderation there, and then another trough as we head into December. And then we could start seeing some really cold air trying to get into the picture here as we head into December. You can see one shot there. Now, the models were kind of looking a little differently if we went to yesterday's run. So I'm going to go all the way to 12Z Saturday. And you can see it had a totally different look to it. So there's going to be some cold air, but the models still don't know exactly where it's going to exactly go, where these troughs set up and stuff. So we'll go and compare this to the GFS and see how things are going to play out here. So again, there's that trough, ridge, and then another little trough comes through. And then it does have some troughs come through. So you'll see some troughs come through. It looks like we don't really have any really excellent blocking up in Greenland. So any cold air that we will see will be kind of transient and short-lived with this kind of pattern that we have. And again, if we go back, I was looking at the 18Z or whatever, but if we go back and we look at the older models, let's go to the GFS on Friday, for instance, all right? Had a different look to it. Had more of a blocking in Greenland. So they keep saying you're going to hear a lot about people saying, "Oh, bitter Arctic blast is coming," trying to really play it up because that's what people like to do. It really is not something you should. I take these long range freakouts, I'll put with a grain of salt until we actually get closer to the time period. So we'll pull this closer. We'll go ahead and look at the surface chart. And then we'll go to the anomalies. So let's go to the European first. And we'll start with the 12Z, well, obviously the 12Z. So high pressure for tomorrow, fair weather, and then unfortunately later Tuesday, looks like it could be quite a rainy afternoon and evening. Tuesday's going to suck, and then Wednesday, small chances for showers, not as much as Tuesday. And then after Thursday, you could start seeing a cold blast and wind, which may become a problem now. Originally, I was looking like, we weren't going to have issues with wind for Thanksgiving, but the problem with that is that they have the Thanksgiving Day parade with all those floats in the city, and if there's too much wind, they cannot fly those floats, and that could be a bit of an issue. And you can see we are once again in a wind machine here, pressure gradient low over Atlantic Canada, high pressure over the Ohio Valley, putting us into the wind machine here. And then that high pressure moves closer to us on Saturday, hopefully bringing us some sunshine, perhaps. And then as we get into December, that's when things start getting a little on the weirder side. So you can see another high moving there. And then this is probably the Arctic blast that they're talking about here, this high right here. And it looks like now, like I said, it looks like it's going more toward our area instead of toward the Midwest. So this could be quite a cold air mass here coming down. You can see the look of it that it has. It's a pretty big high as well. So if we look at the temperature anomaly chart, which I'll go ahead and I'll do. So this week, tomorrow, be close to normal, maybe a little bit below normal. Then we're above normal Tuesday and Wednesday, well above normal Wednesday. And then here comes the colder air on Thursday. Just polar air, not Arctic air. But it will be chilly. And on the weekend, it will be chilly as well. And we see a little bit of a bump up here. Here we go into the beginning of December. Quite a warm-up for the east. And then here comes that Arctic. This could be Arctic air as we get into February. And you can see some pretty big anomalies. And it looks like it's going more over us versus what was shown, again, in older models. If we go back to older runs, like the Friday run, had the cold air going out west. So it's shifting more to the east. And I really hope it does because I'm tired of the west getting in all the action here. I've been getting the last cold blast that went straight to them. This is favorable for a good Arctic blast. And if it's straight out of the north, hopefully we can get some nice blue skies with that Arctic air instead of all the clouds that we got with the last cold air mass. Now we'll go over the GFS. For this, I'll use the 18Z GFS. So, similar idea here. Not really any big differences here. We're seeing the pressure gradient on Thursday there, Friday, pretty much looking similar. GFS starts looking a little different, though, as we head, I think, into the first week of December. And this is when we start seeing, unfortunately, a lot of rain chances, or fortunately, however you want to put it. But it does seem to agree that it's putting the Arctic air more to the east, but it's a little more transient in the way it looks, at least on here. And you can see a number of systems, and even it has tropical systems. Technically, the hurricane season is technically over, but because of climate change, I really think they really need to extend it. I think there's still a possibility we'll see some more storms that will have to be watched. Let's look at the GFS's temperature anomaly chart here. So here's the GFS's temperature anomaly chart. Here's the cold air for the weekend. Looks pretty chilly, actually. And then a warm-up as you begin December, and then the cold air again. You can see there's the cold air. So there is cold air that is coming down, and this could be, like I said, borderline Arctic air. It's going to be quite chilly. Let's just go to the 12Z and see if there are any differences here with this. Because sometimes the 12Z, it looks pretty similar. But you can see that both kind of glancing blows. So Europeans definitely, if you like the colder weather, the European definitely looks better. And European's generally a better model anyway to use for the longer range. So you get an idea of what's going to be happening, especially as we head into December. So after a little bit of a warm-up, we'll have some cold blasts that follow these warm-ups, basically. And that'll sort of be this week, too, as well. So let's go to the HRRR. We'll go ahead and start looking at the shorter range. What we're going to be dealing with in the shorter range here. And you'll see here that light winds, the winds are supposed to pick up tonight, so temperatures might rise. I mean, the winds are supposed to pick up, and so far they haven't. But we should see, and you see the dew points there, and we have a north wind tomorrow, northwest wind tomorrow, Dew points fairly low, and then tomorrow night could be another night for radiational cooling if the skies stay clear, because those winds look pretty light. Those dew points are low enough that we're going to see more radiational cooling again. And then as we head into Tuesday, that's when the south flow takes over. We start seeing the moisture and the rain chances that will be accompanying that. Temperatures, air temperatures tonight, 30s, but again, if there's radiational cooling, could be lower than that. And then for tomorrow, highs, it'll be close to average. Highs in the low 50s. I think it'll be fairly close to average temperatures for the daytime. At night, I think we could see, again, temperatures of the radiational cooling getting below freezing in a lot of areas, and probably for the areas that don't, maybe mid-30s. And then for Tuesday, this is when you start seeing the warmer air that's off to the south trying to make its way in, and that will be accompanied by rain. Let's go look at skies. And then I'm going to go back to the other models for a moment here. But here's the skies, and you see it's showing fairly clear skies. But we will have to watch this cirrus that might try to come in on us. That looks like it's going to stay away, but we'll have to see what happens. And then the clouds, obviously plenty of clouds for Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be dealing with the rain. So here's as we go into Tuesday, and then Wednesday we'll also be dealing with clouds and some rain chances as well. Look at this. Let me show you here the rain that's going to be coming in here. Though it really won't be a whole lot. We'll go back and we're going to be looking at that in a moment here. Could be a half an inch. It does have one area that could be close to an inch to the north. This is the R-gem, by the way, because it goes a little further out. The HRRR is only going to take us, I don't know if it's going to take us through most of Tuesday's event. It only takes us through Tuesday, like early Tuesday evening, so it's not really going to take us far enough. Let's see if the NAM 12 does, because this does go a little further here. Yeah, it's not all that impressive, the rainfall totals. Maybe if you're maybe a half an inch, if that, here. So, see, again, there'll be showers coming in later Tuesday and Tuesday night. And then Wednesday, there could still be the chance of a shower. And then we improve for Thanksgiving. So let's go back to the HRRR. And we're going to look at some soundings for tomorrow and wham a little bit. It's hard to kind of be bullish on skies tomorrow because we are going to look at some of these soundings here. Let's go look at 16Z here. You can see there is some upper level moisture here, though. Those lines are decently far apart, at least starting out. But I think as you head toward the later in the afternoon, you start seeing some of that upper level moisture increase there. So that's why some higher mid-level clouds could be possible, maybe some jet junk. And then overnight, yeah, it's fairly close. Again, you have it could be a lot of high clouds streaming in overnight, but you notice that there's not a lot of low clouds. That's why I think there could still be radiational cooling. We'll have to look at some of the HRRR cloud models as well for this. But let me go to the European so we can show you what the holiday weekend looks like. So that high pressure, again, gives us a dry day tomorrow, but then we're going to deal with the rain on Tuesday into Wednesday. A little bit of, like I said, Tuesday's going to be more of the time you're going to have to deal with the rain, I think, especially from late afternoon through the evening. And what does the European predict here as far as total accumulated precip? Yeah, around a half an inch. So a quarter of an inch to a half an inch. It's not going to be a huge rainmaker. But it'll be enough to be a nuisance if you're out and you have to deal with it. For sure. It definitely will be. So once we get done with that, I'll just go to the 700 to 300 humidity so you get an idea of how much moisture there is in the system. And there is a decent amount. We have dry air tomorrow, but then you see that dark green over us Tuesday nights. There's a decent amount of moisture, but then most of that moisture is gone on Wednesday. So that's what I'm saying. Tuesday is going to be the day. I think you're going to have the wet weather later in the day, and then we'll have the dry air return as you head toward Thanksgiving. Dew points and wind flow, so we're going to look at that as well. So you'll see the warm air come in, especially as we get into the overnight, Tuesday could be get a little muggy. You can see the humidity there that we're going to have. And then as we get into Wednesday night to Thursday, here comes the colder air that's going to be coming behind this front with a west wind. And then Friday, also seeing that west wind. And then Saturday, also maybe a little more of a northwesterly flow there on Saturday. I'm just going to do this and see if we can get some information. And maybe we'll have clear skies. This is not really a great model. It doesn't have the highest resolution of clouds, but I'm hoping that we would see less in the way of clouds. But I'll go to windy.com because that'll help visualize things a little more. But the temperatures will drop. So as you go here, you'll see it's going to be quite mild, actually, to begin Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be the warmest day, I think, actually, of them all, where we'll have, again, temperatures possibly getting close to 60 if you're inland, and upper 50s, so it's going to be quite warm. And then behind the cold front, the temperatures drop, and then for Thanksgiving, we're going to have temperatures only in the mid to upper 40s, and the same thing for Friday after being probably no radiation cooling with the wind flow, but it'll still be probably below freezing Friday morning. And then Friday, it's going to be even colder with highs only in the, say, low 40s, low to mid 40s, so it'll be pretty chilly. And then Saturday could be, again, just as cold. And, of course, if we do able to have light winds any of those nights, teens for the Pine Barrens could be a possibility. I was surprised we did it tonight in West Hampton. We got down that low, but it did get down that low, which was kind of a surprise. I was kind of surprised myself at it, for sure. Go a little further here. We'll just look at the GFS here and show you the temperatures do start to moderate as we get towards Sunday a little bit. All right, a little bit. So we do see some moderation as far as, and that will come with an increasing cloud cover. We'll look at the clouds here. All right, so let's back this up to tomorrow. So you can see it does show some high clouds, and then we'll have clouds Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We may still be dealing with clouds, but maybe Friday we start seeing some improvement. It'll all depend on how this all works out here because of the lake effect and all that cyclonic flow thing. Saturday may be the best bet to have clear skies. Again, this is a low resolution model, so not really a great model to use. So that's pretty much what we're going to be dealing with as we get to the end of the month. And like I said, I'm not really going to go. I can give you a peek of what it could, how cold it could get. Go back to the European here. How cold it possibly could get if we have this big cold front come through and this Arctic blast that everyone is talking about or making a big deal about anyway. So as we head later into, you can see the colder air here coming in. So as we get toward like December 5th, yeah, we may have highs only in the 30s, and maybe there might be one day where it's only in the 20s perhaps. So yeah, this is going to be, but it's going to be transient. It's going to be in, but with more of a flow out of the north, it could be quite chilly. And it's right now hard to say what the skies could do at this point. That's what so we'll see. Hopefully it'll come with some nice skies. So let's go and look at another site here. We will go and look at windy.com. And again, we're going to go to that PM 2.5 and see if we see any improvements in the air quality, because I did notice the haze today. Let's see if we have, yeah, it looks like we do have some improvements tomorrow. So I'm hoping we will have improved air quality tomorrow and better looking skies than we had today. So we'll go ahead and we'll use this for the clouds, and you'll see here again that it is showing that we should have fairly clear skies. It looks like there is some cirrus trying to sneak in from the south and west. That'll be increasing, so obviously the best skies will probably be earlier in the day. And then we'll be stuck in the clouds, obviously, Wednesday. Then let's see what this has for Thursday. It looks like Thursday looks decent on this. We can actually take a look at Friday, too. Friday looks like it's got perhaps more of the stratocumulus development. Let's see what this does for wind, because the winds are supposed to pick up as we go into tomorrow. So not like wind advisory things, but it will be breezier tomorrow, and hopefully that'll clear the air out a little bit. And then as we head into your Thursday, this is a critical time for when they have the parade. And yeah, these wind gusts are close, 29, 30. We won't need wind advisory, but again, it's a concern for the Thanksgiving Day parade that we're going to have to deal with some of these stronger winds. It looks like they'll be with us on Friday too as well. So definitely will feel, and with the temperatures colder, it definitely will feel quite cold, quite different. Let's go to Ventus Sky. I'll look at this one as well for tomorrow as far as the skies go as well. This is the HRRR. This is the only model that shows the HRRR. So 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Looks like it's mostly sunny. So I'm hoping we can actually have a mostly sunny day tomorrow. If the promises of mostly sunny weather, the Weather Service even said mostly sunny, and I knew it wasn't because the model's showing tons of clouds. But tomorrow we may actually be able to have a mostly sunny day before we start dealing with a pretty crappy Tuesday with the rain. So lastly, let's go to the Climate Prediction Center. 6 to 10 day outlook, and you see here below normal. They have still going with the coldest air hitting the upper Midwest and the Southeast being above normal at the ridge, and has us in like a stripe of near normal and above normal precipitation chances for almost everybody. Best chances seem to be in the Rocky Mountains area, and still for much of the east, and only below normal on the west coast there. And then as we go to the 8 to 14 day, they still don't think that we're going to see that cool down. They still think it's going to go into the Midwest, and we're going to be stuck in the warm air and with above normal precipitation. So if you look at this, we could be having a lot of crappy, warm, rainy days, which would absolutely suck. So hopefully it's not right, but we'll have to see what happens. This is just a guess, an overall guess of what's going to happen, obviously. So it's kind of hard to say exactly how this is all going to pan out once we get there. But they're basically not looking at the changes on the models. We can go back and take a look and see how much rainfall that there would be. If we go back to tidbits, which we can do, I'll just back. And I can go just use the CONUS, and I can go to precipitation and see how much the European is generating all the way to the end of the period. It's really not that much for us. It has the heavier amounts over here, but what they're doing is they're going and looking at older models. They're looking at they're looking at the older models from a couple of days ago. So the trend is that it's trending drier and colder. So hopefully that trend continues, and we're not going to deal with a bunch of crappy, warm, rainy days, which is absolutely the worst case scenario. So I think that wraps up this weather video. Have a good day, and hopefully we get to enjoy some sunshine and blue sky tomorrow at long last. Have a good night.